Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit quietly together, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for all those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life itself. We know we're on our pilgrimage here for a brief moment in time. So let us open ourselves here, now, to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, and of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. With these words from Tim Haley, welcome all those who have gathered this morning for our Sunday service. Welcome to those of you, the select few here in person at Essex Church on this sweltering weekend. Welcome to all who are joining us via Zoom from far and wide, and indeed anyone who's watching on the YouTube channel. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Jane Blackall and I am Minister with Kensington Unitarians. Our service today is titled What a Picture. Today is National Camera Day, apparently, an occasion to celebrate the art of photography. So this morning we'll be reflecting on the power of taking pictures, the memories and meanings that the photographs can hold, and the insights that perhaps they can open up for us. There's a spiritual aspect to this, of course, as there is to everything really. And as Juliet Jones writes in the words that are on the front of your order of service, photography for me is a spiritual practice. It's a discipline that connects me more closely to the core of the universe and to the core of my own being. It opens my eyes, and in doing so allows my heart and soul to open as well. God gave me photography so that I can pray with my eyes. But before we go any further, let's do what we always do. Let's light our chalice. This is a moment for us to stop, to centre ourselves, to take a breath and truly arrive. And it's a ritual that connects us with Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists the world over, reminding us of that proudly progressive religious tradition of which this gathering is part. This community is a fellowship of the progressive path, open-minded, open-hearted, at least that's our aspiration. This is a place to share insights and ideas, a place to foster faith and sometimes find joy, a place where we can be ourselves and let others do the same, a place where we can be real about our often untidy lives and bring our confusion, our pain, our despair. This is a place for the whole of life's experience, as messy as that may be. A place for healing and solace, for solidarity and hope, for encouragement and nurture. A place to face this life in all its complex shadings. So may this chalice be to us a reminder of the community that holds us all together. Time to sing now. Our first hymn this morning is number 181 in your purple books, Wake Now My Senses. For those of you that do read music, don't be confused. We're going to sing it to the more familiar tune of Slain. If you're on Zoom, the words will be up on screen, as they will for all the hymns. We don't have Benj here today, so I've picked the more familiar tunes, so hopefully we'll be able to hold it together. Feel free to stand or sit as you prefer. Hymn 181. So let's take all of our joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken, into an extended time of prayer now. This is based on some words by the Enfleshed Collective. You might want to adjust your position to get more comfortable, maybe put down anything you don't need to be holding. You might want to close your eyes, or perhaps there's a posture that helps you to feel more settled and centred. Whatever you need to do to get into the right state of body and mind, to connect with yourself, with each other, and with that which lies within us and beyond us. Spirit of life, God of all love, in whom we live and move and have our being, we turn our full attention to you, the light within and without, as we tune into the depths of this life and the greater wisdom to which and through which we are all intimately connected. Be with us now as we allow ourselves to drop into the silence and the stillness at the very centre of our being. In these days when so much of our world is groaning with fatigue and injustice, and global instability seems to threaten so much that we hold dear, we are invited to turn toward God and to one another. Turn to the deepest reality that we know, the oneness at the heart of all. We're not meant to carry the struggles of this world alone. And so, in a spirit of collective embrace this morning, may we share together in prayer for all that troubles our hearts. For all of the bodies in suffering, the sick and the injured, those deprived of resources, withheld from care, or made into targets of violence, hear our prayers. For all whose spirits are in despair, the troubled and tormented, those facing loss or grief, those who are lonely or isolated, those who are struggling to accept their own worth, hear our prayers. For all of the ways that power is wielded unjustly, for those living under oppressive regimes, for the temptation to look away or be complicit in injustice, and for the ways your name is used as a weapon rather than a tool for healing and liberation. Hear our prayers. And in a few moments of shared silence and stillness now, let us each call to mind those sufferings and struggles that weigh heavy on our heart this day, and let us hold them gently in the light of love, that larger love that holds all. Just as we are not meant to shoulder the world's pain and suffering alone, we are equally meant to delight with one another in the joy that sustains us. So for the beauty and creative love that grows around us and within us, we give thanks. For the gifts of sharing and relationships that transform and sustain us, we give thanks. For art and music and stories and truths that foster love and connection, we give thanks. And for every source of courage in the face of all that makes us afraid, we give thanks. And in a few more moments of shared silence and stillness, let us call to mind some of the many gifts we have been given in the week just past. And let us inwardly treasure all those blessings, be they large or small, in a spirit of gratitude. For your presence within and around us, in our highs and in our lows, we give thanks. Hear our prayers and deepen our willingness to faithfully show up for one another, sharing in each other's burdens and working for each other's protection and care. Spirit of life, God of all love, as this time of prayer draws to a close, we offer up our joys and our concerns, our hopes and our fears, our beauty and our brokenness, and we call on you for insight, healing and renewal. As we look forward now to the coming week, help us to live well each day and be our best selves, using our unique gifts in the service of love, justice and peace. Amen. Over to you, Pat.
This photograph by Elise Frame. This short poem by Elise Frame was written during a time she was undergoing grueling cancer treatment. She discovered the poem in her journal a couple of years later when she was in better health and shared it online with the observation, "This poem was written down hastily, as if I hadn't given it much thought, yet it just seemed to flow out of me. Looking back, I cannot for the life of me seem to think which photo this poem was written about. As a photographer, I aim to create beautiful images where the lighting and the composition perfectly frame the subject in artfully crafted way. However, my focus had shifted from the creation of a flawless finished project and more towards the natural beauty of what is really being captured, the gift of life." So here is her poem, The Photograph by Elise Frame. In this photograph, the clothes don't matter. The setting is irrelevant. The lighting is secondary. Whether the people are all smiling or not, whether we're all looking the same way, it doesn't matter. The thing that makes this worn old photo so clearly special is simply the fact that we're all in it, healthy, together and loving. This photograph is proof that we are blessed. That is what makes for photographic excellence, because somewhere along the line it stopped being about looking good and started being about realising we have it good.
Thanks, Pat. Time to sing again now. Our second hymn is also in your purple books, number 39, For the Splendour of Creation. Number 39.
Oh, The Eyes of the Heart by Christine Wolters Painter. My journey with photography began when I was a very young girl. My maternal grandparents owned a chain of photography stores called Fitz Photos and Hobby Shop in Massachusetts. And so I have had a camera for as long as I can remember. Photography has always been a way for me to see more deeply, but my awareness of how this was an experience of prayer and often an encounter with the sacred presence emerged over time. It wasn't until I embraced monastic spirituality in my late 20s I began to experience photography consciously as a contemplative practice. I began to see photography as a way to slow down and gaze deeply, noticing things I had missed in my rushed life. For me, the camera provided an encounter with the eternal moment, that place in which I was able to suddenly become so present to what I was gazing upon that I lost track of time, allowing eternity to break in. It became a tool for deeper vision, supporting and enlivening contemplative seeing. Photography is often seen as a tool to be used for far-flung journeys and recording family events. But a photographic journey can also be taken right in your own neighborhood, as close as the street you live on, as a way of discovering the everyday places you inhabit in new ways. Whether it's taken with a fancy high-end camera or a camera on your phone, a photograph can be made special by your discovery of once you pay attention. Photography as a spiritual practice combines the active art of image receiving with the contemplative nature and open-heartedness of prayer. It cultivates what I call sacred seeing, or seeing with the eyes of the heart. This kind of seeing is our ability to receive the world around us at a deeper level than the surface realities. It becomes a journey of discovery where we open ourselves to what is being revealed moment by moment, rather than what we hope or expect to see. There is an invitation to transform photography into a spiritual practice by attending to the process and thereby deepening our relationship to God, to the world around us, and to ourselves. I take my camera out into the world, and it invites me to slow down and linger over moments of beauty. It opens me to wonder and delight. As I cultivate sacred seeing, I grow my ability to see the world beneath the surface appearance of things. This is one of the wonders of photography, to be able to frame a moment in time and within my gaze and absolute presence in that particular moment to discover holiness. In that single moment, I am reminded that all moments are holy.
Thanks, Juliet. So we're moving into a time of meditation now. I'm going to share just a few words from Sean McNiff, an invitation to reflect on photos that are dear to us, and that will take us into a few minutes of shared silence that will end with the sound of a bell. And then we're going to hear some more music for meditation. So do what you need to do to get comfortable, adjust your position if you need to. You might want to get your feet flat on the floor if that helps you to feel more grounded and centred. You might want to close your eyes. You might want to look at the candle flames. The words are just an offering. Feel free to use this time to meditate in your own way. So Sean McNiff, who's written a lot on the spirituality of everyday things, has said this: photos have become primary artefacts in domestic shrines throughout the world. They have an uncanny way of catching and preserving the history of the soul's formation, the fleeting instants caught by the camera, as well as the carefully planned rituals of a family. They carry memories and old details that would otherwise be lost, and unpretentiously carry on archetypal functions associated with shrines. So as we enter this time of silence, I invite you to reflect on your own photographic shrines. Perhaps you have special photos up on the wall at home, photos of loved ones or particular memories, sacred places or natural wonders. Maybe your photos are kept on your phone these days and in your pocket, a travelling shrine of sorts. Or perhaps you rarely dig out those old photos, but they exist somewhere still in your mind's eye. So let's take some time to meditate on those significant and sacred photographs that hold special meaning for us.
In the Present by Robert Walsh. On a sunny day, I walked along in a broad valley in Nepal, through an old forest with vines and moss, flowering trees and intermittent vistas of the snow-coloured Himalayas, when I came across a clearing in the woods, and I saw there a holy man, a monk in an orange robe, head shaved, back bent with age, chopping wood. I had conflicting impulses. I wanted to ask him questions. What was his name? Where did he live? What was his life like? I wanted his blessing, and I wanted to give him mine. And I wanted to pass by invisibly, noiselessly, doing nothing that would disturb him. Instead, I took out my camera and took a picture of him. I tried to be as discreet as possible about it. I waited until he wasn't looking in my direction. I don't know whether he heard the sound. Then I put the camera away and moved on down the trail. I took the picture because I wanted to hold on to that moment, because I wanted to tell you the story. Now I have a small, still, two-dimensional memento of that moment. We can look at it. It will last for a while. The actual moment completely surrounded me. It had sounds and smells and movement, and it was only real for a moment. Now it's gone. It will never happen again. I moved through that experience with my attention alternating between the present moment and a future time when I would be back home telling the story. It's what preachers call homiletic consciousness, which means going through life thinking, can I use this in a sermon? But it's not just preachers who do it. I imagine a painter would do the same. Poet, novelist, teacher, composer, storyteller, anyone who uses the experiences of life in order to give something to someone else. But the more we stay in the future, thinking about telling the story, the less we are open to the power of the experience itself. The more we put a frame around the picture, the more it becomes only a picture and not a real event. Instead of living life each day, we are busy getting ready for life. Yet, if it weren't for the storytellers and photographers, I would never have gone to Nepal. So, I will try to find a balance between being fully in the moment and being present to the whole of life, past, present, and future, here and there, that I may live this day today and also tell the story tomorrow.
Thanks, Antony. So last week I asked if anyone would like to share a photo that was meaningful or significant to them and say something about how that photo speaks to them. The invitation was to share either a personal photo that captures a moment in your life, a beautiful sight that you've seen, or perhaps an artistic or a journalistic photo that's opened your eyes to seeing the world in a new way, perhaps the sort of thing you'd see in National Geographic that inspires a sense of wonder or amazement. 6 of us have chosen images to share. I asked to have them in advance so that we could put the slides up on the screen, and Janine will share the slides in a moment so that everyone can see what we're talking about. So I'm going to go first, and then I'll call on John, Pat, Marianne, Heidi, and Juliet to tell us about their photographs. So if we could have the first one up, Janine. So this was the photo that came to mind for me. You might remember some years ago a book called The Earth from the Air by Marianne Bertrand came up. It was around the turn of millennium and it was everywhere. The massive book was a real coffee table classic, and the large format images were exhibited at the Natural History Museum, at City Hall, and elsewhere around the country. He'd taken all these environmental images of different landscapes on Earth, and this was the one that I found most striking. It's of a hot spring, the Grand Prismatic Spring in Yellowstone National Park in the US. In services, at least once a year, we refer to the pale blue dot image of the Earth from space as one that gives humans a sense of perspective, which inspires awareness of the preciousness and fragility of our little planet. But these images of the Earth from the air, showing it in its kind of local flavour, its particularity, they move me more. They both celebrate the beauty and the diversity of places that in all likelihood most of us will never see firsthand, especially not me because I'm not a great traveller. So I rely on photographers and filmmakers and artists to bring me these amazing sights of far-flung places. These images are a record of a moment in time. The book very much had an ecological, a green agenda. The photos were accompanied by a reminder that many of these habitats, many of these sites are at risk due to climate change and other forms of environmental degradation. And it may well be that in the 25 years since this book was published and the photos were taken, some of the places that were documented have probably already been lost or at least changed significantly. So for me, this photo is both a beautiful photo of the colours of nature, I'm always drawn to a rainbow, but also a poignant reminder of what might be lost. That's mine. John, over to you.
No prizes for picking me out. That picture was taken 70 years ago. It's my sister Jo on the left and my brother James on the right, and me in the middle. The reason, I mean, it's a very important photo for me in my, my mother died a couple of years before. My father was very caught up with his new wife and his new child. My sister and my brother were going off to other boarding schools. And I think at that point, it's a sort of becoming aware, conscious. I realized that I was on my own. Yeah. And, that was okay. I was looked after, fed, watered, cared for. I was compared with many boys on the planet. I was looked after, but I was on my own. And, it taught me resilience. And it served me well. It served me well until about 26 years ago, when I realized that actually we cannot do everything on our own. We do need help. So that little boy, as I said, 26 years ago, I had to finally surrender to the fact that I needed help. And you know what? When I surrendered and accepted that I needed help, plenty was available. It was previously my own, I'd been my own worst enemy, really. So anyway, there he is, 70 years ago, and here I am, right here, right now. And this congregation is a very important part of my journey.
It's a sort of this is Fred. It's quite an old photo. In the 80s and 90s, I ran a community centre alongside my friend Anna, who's not here today. And the office was an open door, and Fred would come in every Monday morning to have tea and biscuits with us. Fred was so childlike, so naive. He was an artist. He painted the most wonderful, naive paintings of sheep with great big teeth and blaring eyes, and the children loved him. He had a way about him which was so simple, and I loved him being there. He loved biscuits. His whole face would light up when the biscuits came out. He was just a wonder to be around. And when you spoke to him, he looked at you as if you were the only thing in the universe. He made my Mondays perfect. We were kindred spirits because we both were labelled with learning difficulties and we've been simpletons, but neither of us cared. He taught me that innocence was a spiritual practice, and I've stayed with that. And I invite everybody to see their innocence because we all have it. We haven't lost it. And he taught me that the life that we lead can be full of wonder. When he died, the funeral was perfect. It was small, it was intimate. And the hymn that he chose was All Things Bright and Beautiful.
Bless you. This photo was taken over 30 years ago. I wrote a little poem about it, dedicated to my daughter. So Fleur is 3. She stands with her hands in her pockets, wearing a little striped jumper and that soft pink cap I used to pull gently over her ears on chilly spring mornings. It must be March, maybe April. The air still has a bite, but the light is changing, stretching out a little longer each day. Basil, our cat, sits beside her, a little smaller than her, but steady as anything. They face the garden together, just quietly watching. To their left, a young pink camellia in a flower pot too big for the moment, but not really. It belongs. All of it does. They don't notice me with the camera, or they do, but choose not to turn. Whatever they see out there has their full attention, and they're sharing it in silence. I had the photo enlarged as a poster, framed behind glass. The paper has done its own thing now, small waves of memory blurring the picture. It has lived in the breakfast room for years, part of our house, not often looked at, but always there, quiet, familiar, woven into the rhythm of our days. Looking at my garden today, I realize how much it has changed, how much I have changed. More ramshackle now, only tweaked here and there, accepting of what is, loving that quiet, eternal presence, allowing it to unfold.
Yes, this was about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was in Brighton. It's obviously John and myself. John had, at the time, he had problems with his mobility, but with a bit of help, he managed to get on a train to Brighton, and then we took a taxi, sat by the beach. We met up with a friend called Joanne, and we had this photo. And what I often do is I painted, I reproduced it and painted out the background, and I painted a little butterfly between John and myself. Sort of, well, butterflies can be all sorts of things. And we both love butterflies. And I remember it was a lovely day. I don't know, did we stay overnight? A lovely couple of days maybe by the beach in Brighton. Yes, so then of course later on John couldn't do these things anymore, but I like to remember that we enjoyed this. And yeah, that's it really for now.
I was a latecomer to this event. I only contributed yesterday after I'd looked in a folder that I have, and well, probably 25 years ago, I'm not sure, I decided I would take an A-level art exam, and it took over, well, it was spread over 2 years, and there were different topics. Well, we were allowed to choose the topics, and one of mine was the tree opposite and other trees. And the tree opposite was actually a flowering almond. And I'd lived with it for a long, long time, so it became a big feature in my life. But I also started going for a walk every morning. There were 3 different walks I could do, and I took photographs of all the trees day by day by day as they were changing. And this is tree trunks and tree bark. And well, do you know, I think it's lasted amazingly well because it wasn't taken on a digital camera. It was taken on a camera where you had to put film in. And well, obviously these are selected from lots and lots that I did. I have to say, I got a very low grade in the A level because I was busy taking photographs instead of drawing everything that I was seeing. But anyway, I did manage to pass. Thank you, Jane.
I'll leave that there so that people can come and have a closer look if you're in the building. So thank you all for sharing your significant photographs. I imagine most of us will have pictures of our own that came to mind this morning, perhaps in the meditation. Perhaps you'll get them out to have a look later on today when you get home. Perhaps you've got them on your phone and you'll share them with others after the service. As the photographer Aaron Siskin once said, photography is a way of feeling, of touching, of loving. What you've caught on film is captured forever. It remembers the little things long after you have forgotten everything. Amen. One last song to sing. Our final hymn is on your hymn sheet if you're in the building. All of life is filled with wonder. That's to a very well-known tune. So let's sing up as best we can. Just time for a few announcements now. Thanks to Janine for tech hosting and coping with technical hitches at the back today. Thanks to Andrew for lovely music. Thanks to Pat and Juliet and Antony for reading. Thanks to everyone who shared their photographs and their reflections. Thanks to Marianne for covering both the coffee and the greeting, and everyone else who helped out. If you're here in person, we've got dairy-free carrot cake this afternoon. Do stay for a chat. It's good to hang around for a bit, get to know each other. At 12:30, come back in here and you can sing with Margaret for the Finding Your Voice singing sessions, free of charge, fun. Margaret can help everyone make a better sound. Tonight and Friday at 7, we've got our Heart and Soul online contemplative spiritual gathering. That's another particularly good place to get to know people better. This week our theme is becoming. If you want to come along to that, just drop me an email and we'll count you in. On Wednesday night, Brian is leading the poetry group. Have a word with him if you want to come along. Let him know what you're going to read, what is to share poems, and he likes to have a copy for everyone, so let him know in advance what you're planning to share. This month, next month, what month are we in? July's Better World Book Club is on The Amen Effect by Sharon Bruce. I've got a few copies to lend out if anyone wants to come along. You've got plenty of time to read it. I found out that the hard copy is...
It's brilliant.
Michaela is vigorously endorsing the book group choice, which she's already started on. Great. Yeah, for some reason, the print copy is really expensive, so, do borrow one. If you need to borrow one, we've got a few. We'll be back here next Sunday at 11. I have no idea what next Sunday's service is about. I'm still waiting for inspiration to strike, so your guess is as good as mine. Details of all these activities are on the back of your order of service. They're in the Friday email, they're in the newsletter. Make sure you take a copy of that if you haven't already got one. Spread the word as best you can. We've very much got a life beyond Sunday mornings, so we encourage you to keep in touch, look out for each other as best you can, and nurture supportive connections. So just time for our closing words and closing music. We walk this earth but a brief moment in time. Amid our suffering and pain, no matter how great or small, let us continue to learn how to celebrate life in all its variety. Let us continue to grow in our capacity to love ourselves and each other. And let us continue to move towards the goal of a better world, a global community of peace, justice, joy and liberation for all. Go today in a renewed spirit of courage and hope, and with the wisdom that we need to greet the days to come. Amen.